Let me show you the process I use every week to ensure that I'm moving in the right direction with my business and discover new opportunities for growth. Now, I'm Melvin Hedlund, the founder and CEO of Senior Studios. And at Senior Studios, we're at the forefront of bringing brand IPs into the metaverse by creating virtual gaming experiences that truly engage meaningfully with the younger demographic, such as our work with Lego. Now, first off, I want to share that this is a task I complete every single Monday. So I've obviously already completed it for this week, but the next time I will be doing it is on the next Monday. Now, this task is something that I do for the entire day. So I don't have any other scheduled task for the entire day. This is the only task that I complete. And it goes over how I prioritize my time, how I provide feedback to my team, how I check finances on a weekly and a monthly basis, or checking on our leads that we are getting on a weekly basis, and also inspecting our business on both a weekly and a monthly basis to ensure that what areas needs to be improved, what things are doing good, and what things needs to be changed to make sure that we are moving in the right direction. And lastly, having also a task to come up with new strategies on how we can grow both the business and our personal brand. Now, first off, the first task that I do is to prioritize my time, which roughly takes around 30 minutes every day, or rather every week. And it is comprised of two different tasks. So the first one being scheduled this week. So if we go to this task right here, the process that I have used to schedule my week is to batch and categorize different tasks into different types of categories. So I have content and one-on-one tasks that are my main priority. So that includes content such as writing a new LinkedIn post, writing scripts and video outlines, such as a video topic of this video topic is, for example, to showcase my business review. So writing those and coming up with ideas of what can we do content about, or how can we provide as much value as possible. Now, we also have strategy and admin tasks, which or strategy tasks can, for example, be how we can redefine and evaluate our marketplace content work that we provide on the Bedrock store. Like, how should we structure that? Because we are now focusing on exclusive work with brands. We don't want to diversify our energy and resources into marketplace as well. So how can we still maintain our commitment and our productions in marketplace, but not focus as much time on that essentially. So that is one example of a strategy task. Now, an admin task could be something like responding to a person, because that is considered a admin task, especially for responding to a team member. And one of the admin tasks that I do on a daily basis is to check Discord, which I do at the end of the workday, because I don't consider checking Discord and checking messages from my team as focused work. Focused work to me is working on content and working on one-on-one with clients, which is also what I have right here. So this entire section has only the focus task that I'm doing. So that I try to archive or especially delegate those tasks and be very specific on what type of work that I'm doing. So I pick one focus for the week and batch the type of content. So, for example, this week was very much focused on one-on-ones and client interactions. So that included responding to proposals, responding to email projects, or rather projects that we received through email, working on new campaigns on how we can further engage with our audience and target market, and responding on writing follow-ups and stuff like that. So that was the focus of this week, and really doing the one-on-one task. Now, obviously, I'm doing content on this day as well, but the first half of the week was to prioritize one-on-ones and client interactions. Because having a focus means that I can fully immerse myself in the type of work for this week, which is client interactions, which helped me be more productive and more focused. Now, I also have different priorities on the types of tasks. So I have a low priority, medium priority, high priority, and an urgent priority. And I try to delegate all tasks that I consider to be low priority, because most of the time, well, yeah, all of the times actually, it are those are tasks that I don't necessarily need to complete, and those are tasks that someone else on my team can better complete, which ensures that I use my time on things that really matter and are most important. Now, once I've done that, I've sort of scheduled my whole week and know what I will be doing this week, but I still do two things. And first off is, for all the remaining tasks on the board, so all of my tasks for this week, who could I train to complete these tasks as good or bad than me? Because asking these questions still means that I have the focus of delegating and being very receptive of the type of work that I take on. So asking that questions reminds me of having that perspective in the tasks that I take on and stuff like that. And sometimes I don't have any of the tasks that I can't delegate, because most of the time I'm actually working on the right things and high priority tasks. But sometimes I realize that even though that this is, for example, a medium task or a one-on-one task, I can delegate that, such as a client interaction. I could delegate that to my managing director to handle that conversation and management, essentially. Lastly, I ask myself, what am I looking forward to this week? And I always want to have something special to do at the end of the week or throughout the week, because that means that I have something to look forward to, which gives me energy and gives me a purpose to get through the week other than just work. So for example, this week I'm going on an event in Gothenburg to attend in both Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So that will be an huge event and really fun experience, since I will get to meet a bunch of other young entrepreneurs in similar ages as me, and it's always great to meet like-minded individuals in the same age as you. But once I've done that, I've all done, and this takes about 15 to 30 minutes. 20 minutes specifically. Now, the other thing I do in regards to prioritizing my time, I review the past week, which takes around 10 minutes. So I review the Trello archives, which essentially tasks that I completed throughout the last week. I then check the past week on a tool called Rise. So this is a tool I use. So if we look at the past week from the previous week, for example, I can see the tasks that I've been doing. We can actually check the month. So this shows the sort of tasks that I've been working on and how focused that have been. So most of the time you can see spend 20 hours on Trello, which is essentially my schedule and the things that I'm doing. Then spent 18 hours on messaging, which is mostly Discord messages, as seen here. Now I spent 12 hours on personal brand. That could be recording content or writing LinkedIn posts, stuff like that. And I try to have as high of a focus percentage as possible. And I also want to just work an average of 5 hours per day. Now, this accounts for the days that I'm on my computer on Saturdays and Sundays as well, which sort of brings down the average, since I don't consider work on Saturday and Sundays, but it still tracks that. But if we check this, and for this task specifically, we check the previous week. So I check, what did I do on Monday, Tuesday, stuff like that. This week, I would say, or rather the previous week, haven't been focused on sort of the focused in regards to the work that I'm doing, because it has involved a lot of messaging, which is on Discord, which I don't consider to be focused work. But otherwise, if we check previous week, it could, this is sort of the focus work that I am at, so over 90%, around that. That is what I want to be around as well, because if, well, that high number of focus means that I'm doing the right thing. So for example, it tracks, this tool is really useful, it tracks automatically. So now that I'm recording content, it tracks the day and knows that I'm doing content essentially. But I can view the entire day. Yesterday, for example, I worked on a lot of marketing tasks and creating campaigns, stuff like that. But then for the first half of the day, but for the second half of the day, I spent a lot of time in Discord because we got a couple new projects and I needed to speak with the team, checking up on the projects that we're working on. But we also got a new project that we needed to talk with the client, figure out the best steps next to take, and then approach moving forward. So I spent a lot of time on that. So that wouldn't be focused time. But otherwise, I tend to be able to have a lot of focus time, which I'm really proud of, because that means that I'm working on the right things. So on Tuesday, I wrote a lot of content for LinkedIn and both YouTube scripts and stuff like that. Then I checked the educational videos for 2 hours and 45 minutes. And that is something I do on a daily basis as well. And then I continue to do some more personal brand, so LinkedIn, stuff like that. So the essence of doing this task is that I check what I have worked on and see, is this something that I should continue to do for the next week? Because does it give me energy or does it not? Because the things that don't give me energy, I shouldn't do at all. So I should delegate that. And I also consider the tasks that I've been doing, whether there is something I can automate, delegate, or even eliminate as a whole. And then another question here that is interesting to share is that I asked myself, what did I do last week that I'm proud of? Because as I said, this is a task that I do every Monday, and reminding myself of something that I'm proud of gives me a sense of accomplishment and a sense of pride that I take forward with me into this work week. Now, that is all for prioritizing my time. The next thing that I do is check on team feedback. And this takes around 2 hours and 50 minutes. And it entails many different ways. And one thing that I remind myself is to always provide feedback in my responses when I have to speak with my team. And another approach is also that I do not provide the answer to a person's questions right away, but rather try to say, please suggest 3 possible solutions and tell me which one you think is best, and I will provide my feedback. Because having that team culture of them coming with both the problem and possible solutions and telling which one they would recommend, most of the time they figure out the solutions to the problems that are facing by themselves, so they actually don't need to mess with me, which makes the business much more smoother and faster moving. But the first thing here in this task is personal brand review, and that goes over essentially our LinkedIn and YouTube content. So providing feedback on the YouTube title that we have done, providing the feedback on the thumbnail and editing, because those 3, the title, thumbnail, editing, are things that I don't handle. I just do the recording and have my team handle post-production. So I provide my feedback on the title, thumbnail, editing, and see what we can improve. And then check videos with the most shares, because the amount of shares a video gets is our key metric when it comes to YouTube content, because that means that our videos are being shared within other organizations' teams. So when we do a video about Minecraft experiences and how a brand can integrate their brand into the metaverse and stuff like that, providing educational videos, if that video is being shared a lot, that most likely means that a person is sharing that within their organization, which ultimately means that the video is valuable. So I try to then recognize which videos that are getting more shares so that I can do more of those types of videos. Now for LinkedIn, I provide feedback on the hook and copywriting, the call to actions, and the images that we use, because I provide the topics and the outline of everything, and the same goes for YouTube scripts. I provide outline of what should this video be about, what should be the value of it, and what should be why should a person watch this video and what will it entail. But the actual script is written by my team. If I, for example, go over a document that share something. And for LinkedIn, it is a similar process. I don't write the exact post and schedule it. So I provide an outline and a draft of what should a post entail, what should be the value proposition in the post, and stuff like that. Essentially the outline of the post, but then my team creates the exact post with everything included and get that scheduled. So I provide feedback on that as well. And then for LinkedIn comments, that is similar as well. My team provide respond comments and stuff like that within a post, but I provide essentially train them up how we should respond to our comments and stuff like that. And then I check our LinkedIn score on Sales Navigator, because I just find it interesting and also a good measure to see what can we potentially improve upon. And then similar to YouTube, just checking the post with the most engagement, because that most of the time means that it is of value to our audience and we should do more of that. And then I just go over a process to check that we follow our content system that we created, which essentially outlines how the type of post that we should create and when they are being posted. So we post on LinkedIn one time per day, and that LinkedIn poster is posted on LinkedIn every day. And when we have different types of posts that are supposed to be released on different days, and that is similar to our YouTube video as well. We have a certain type of we have free YouTube videos. So this is, for example, an option 2 video with where we do a Loom video of a document or visuals in this sense. And then option 1 is just this video outline where I talk to the camera directly. And then option 3 is a presentation with bullet points. So that is our process. So I just check that everything is being scheduled following this content system, and that we are improving this content system based on the insights that we get. This takes around 1 hour and 40 minutes, but then I move on to the next task, which is Basecamp review. So Basecamp is another productivity tool that we use, or project management tool. And I have my team manage all of the projects, and I just check the feedback that my managing director provides to my team, because the production, productivity and project management is something that I don't check at all anymore. I've delegated that entire process to have my team manage that, but then I have my managing director check in on progress, stuff like that, and quality assurance and for the last steps. But we at the same time don't want to micromanage, but we still have an overview of how the quality that we are serving. So I check in on that and see if there are any things that we should change in our, for example, when we send a concept proposal, I could say that, my managing director, Pirjank, could have said that this is a good draft, but change this little detail. But I can then come back and say, it was great that you pointed this out and added this, but I also think this part of the proposal could have been altered to change this and mention more benefits, for example. So I just provide feedback to my team on that. I then do a review of so every week my teams provide a self-assessment of their performance, which is a way for them to self-assess what if we check right here. So uh, they essentially respond to this, and the purpose of this is that they reflect on their skills and improvements that they have, to give them time and to really reflect on what they can improve upon. And then I check that and provide one tip to them on if they focus on this area, they will have the most growth moving forward, and provide tips and stuff like that, and share my lessons. And so then we do, well, I intend to do a review of our standard operational procedures, but that is something I don't do yet, as we have still not implemented standard operating procedures within the business as of now. But that is a future thing I will be doing as part of the team feedback review. Then I come over to finances, which I check this thing every week, which takes around 50 minutes, and that is checking our bank balance, transferring USD to Swedish crowns, since we pay most of the things with our card through Swedish crowns, but we receive all of our client money from USD in most of the cases. Then I check pending client invoices, so essentially our income, check vendor invoices, our expenses, and then I check our card expenses and console expense that we are supposed to continue to have, and really evaluate that. How does this exact investment lead to more business or more sales in our business? And then I update the expense list to ensure that we stay on track. Now, I also check one things every week, or rather every month, which is these three things. The first one being that I just check what are our average revenue, average expense, average profits for the past 3 months. And then if this is a bookkeeping task that I manage, I've been able to delegate most of the bookkeeping to my assistant to essentially upload all of our receipts and invoices that we have in our business, but I then just go through it and confirm that everything is correct and send that over to my accountant. And then lastly, it is marketplace partner payout, because we have some partners that publish content on marketplace, and I then do the payout of their royalties of their content. Then we move over to leads, which is my task I do every Monday. And the first one being reviewing campaign performance. So we have some campaigns, essentially nurture campaigns, to ensure that we stay on top of mind for our target markets. And I review how those campaigns are performing and take notes of what is bad or what we can do better. And I add all of those notes to this task right here, which is then a task I complete once a month, where we update our campaigns to ensure that they are more relevant. Review campaign links to ensure, not to ensure, but to provide feedback to my team on the type of client profile and the type of target market and audience that we want to reach, and providing feedback on potential new opportunities of a audience identity that we can target. And then I review console product, so that entails making a list of projects or briefs that we have received, but that have then been cancelled for whatever reason. And so I just ensure that I stay on top of the projects that we have coming in, and learning from the lessons of why a certain project wasn't proceeded with. Whether that be budget reasons, that the budget changed, or that they didn't like our concept, for example, or whatever reason it might be. I just write it down and then set up tasks to ensure that it doesn't happen again. So for example, one thing I did have done previously was that we sent a proposal to a client, but that proposal was over their budget. And so what I then did was to set up a task or reminder that we should now in our process, when we speak with clients, make sure that we get a budget range from them upfront before we design our concept, because that means that we can then design our concept and proposal to align with the deliverables of what we can deliver based on the budget that they have. So that is one solution and lesson that I got from doing this task. I then check our dashboard, which is essentially a dashboard of our key metrics that we want to track. So if we take a look at new leads is one of the key metrics, and we have a metric owner to that in our team, which is Gore, which tracks new leads that are people reaching out to us, interested in our services or learning more about Minecraft. So we track that, and we started doing this in August, and at that time we started in the middle of August. So at that time we didn't have a monthly target, but for September right now we have set a monthly target of adding on 10 new leads. So that is what Guhar will then be responsible for reaching that goal, and he will then be doing tasks and projects to ensure that we reach that goal. And what is interesting and what I think is valuable with having a dashboard like this is that it gives your team the opportunity to view the outcome in a different manner, because previously we had Gohar knew that adding leads was his main priority, but now that we have a monthly target to it, he needs to perform his work in a different manner to ensure that we hit the monthly targets. Previously, we didn't have a target at all, so we were just fine and happy with whatever leads that we had. But now that we have a monthly target, for example, he might realize that we need to strategize something new in order to hit those targets. Another thing we do is YouTube shares, which is it just means that, as I've said before, that the video is valuable to an organization and a potential client, which is what we aim to do with our YouTube content. So that is our key metric when it comes to YouTube content, because we can't track directly how many new leads we get from YouTube. So the best metric that we can track is, in that case, YouTube shares, since that suggests that the videos are valuable and that they are potentially reaching out to us in the future. And then lastly, we have booked meetings, which is another key metric, because in the meetings that we have with clients and advertising agencies, for example, we build these relationships and get to educate our potential clients in a much deeper regard, which is why having meetings with people and having that as a key metric is important for us. And that is another thing that Umar in our team is the metric owner of. So that is all for leads. Now, another thing we do is inspect, or rather I do, is inspect business on a weekly basis. So I go through the process of identify, discuss, and solve issues. And what this entails is that I create a list of all my issues, both business and personal, and just write out whatever comes to mind. Any big issues, it could be small, as something like I need a new water bottle, or it could be as something as large as I need to hire a new person and we need to create a campaign to, or create a pitch and proposal to this large client, for example. It could be whatever. I just write down every issue that comes to mind, and then I prioritize them in a list. So, for example, buying a water bottle comes down at the last of the bottom of the list, while pitching a new project to the client might come at the top, for example. But I then identify the root problem of this. So if let's say, take an example of one of the issues is that we don't get new product briefs. So that in of itself doesn't really explain or give me a chance to figure out the solution to we don't get enough product briefs, because the root problem of that really comes down to that we might not have enough new leads even coming through to us. We might not have enough meetings with people, and we might not engage with people and follow up with people good enough. So just identifying the root problem of that, because by identifying the root problem, we can realize what we actually need to solve. So if we figure out that the root problem is that we don't follow up with people enough, the solution that we can then identify and come up with is that we need to put in better process of our follow-up. So when I got all of that, I create tasks to solve those issues. And that is something I do on a weekly basis. Now I do another large thing on a monthly basis, which is to inspect my entire business. And this is something, so this is something I do. I check some of the key areas within the business and score them on 1 to 10. I then write out what is the good, what is the bad, and what is the ugly. So what is the good, for example, team, is that it might be that we have been really transparent with each other and have been able to keep us every key person updated within the team. So that is a good thing. A bad thing could be that we are slow in our responses to clients, or an ugly thing could be that it could be that we sent proposals to the wrong people, stuff like that. And just so those are 3 examples. But then the important thing that is most important with this task is that I create an action step. So what will I be doing based on what is good, bad, and ugly? What will I be doing to either solve them, or what will be my next big step? So if, for example, we don't, so if the issues is that we don't respond to clients quickly enough, one of the actions could be that we implement new processes to, for example, improve our notification system. So whenever a client sends us a message, it gets sent into a priority channel or within our Discord, for example. And that will alert our team to know that we have received a new email from them and be able to quicker handle the responses. So that could be one action. And then I have that I do all of this for team, sales flow, system and processes, partners, customer service, brand, skills, expansion, culture, vendors, and competition. And once I've done that, all of that, I turn all of the actions. So for example, as I said, of improving the notifications, I turn those actions into actual tasks on my Trello that I can either complete myself or that I delegate to my team. But the important part is that I actually turn those actions and next steps into tasks that they get completed. And this is a process which takes over 3 hours. So, but it has provided immense value for me when I've done it. I've realized, because when you're in the day-to-day, you don't realize those issues or potential improvements when you're in the day-to-day. But when you do an entire deep dive and really allow yourself to take the time to think of your business, think of the improvements, what is actually bad, or what needs to be improved, essentially, it's given a lot of value and new insights. Now, something I do monthly here as well is a business growth and personal brand growth. And this entails asking a bunch of questions. So, for example, right here, it could be 10x the business this year. So I ask myself, what would it take to 10x the business this year? And write down And then I write down all the reasons I cannot do it. I then turn the reasons into tasks to do to grow the business. And then I prioritize them. And then I figure out what skills do I or somebody else need to have to grow the business to this. And then do that process. And then I also ask my gun to what would I do to make $1 million extra this year? Because that gives me a perspective of it helps me realize what is the most important thing to do in the business to grow. Then I ask, what are the top 3 things that I do in my business that are successful actions, and how can I do more of those things to make more money this year? So that could be, for example, personal, that I spend time writing personal brand content, YouTube, LinkedIn. So that could be a top one thing, and how can I do more of that? So if, for example, instead of just writing new content once a week, I could do that 2 times per week. And then I ask, how can we engage with more clients? What more ways can we engage with clients? Write down one idea on how I can increase profits, so increase revenue or cut expenses. Then I ask, if I only have one customer, a new customer must come through that customer referral, how would I treat that customer? How would I double the business if we could not get any new customers? These questions gives me the chance to really dive deep on strategies and on how we can grow the business. And then I ask the same exact questions, but for our personal brand. So what would it take to 10x my personal brand this year? Write down all the reasons and so forth. And then exact same questions, but just different metrics. So for example, instead of $1 million extra, how can I get 15K extra weekly impressions? So that is another key thing that I do. So this has been my process that I do on a weekly basis every single Monday, and I don't do any other tasks during this time. And this has been a really good process. I have learned a lot and implemented a lot of new system and processes within our business because of this specific task. So I really recommend you to do at least some of these tasks, and obviously it takes time. If we check right here, I think it takes 5 to 6 hours to complete this entire process, but it's well worth it, and it's a great use of my time since I got a lot of new ideas from this entire process. Now, I've been Melvin Hedlund. If you found this valuable, or if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn and learn more about our services of doing marketing in Minecraft, definitely reach out on LinkedIn, and I look forward to speak with you. Thank you.